Hi students, this is Mr. Matthews. I'm going to go over the assignment that I would like you to complete during STEM explorations today. Today is really all about the science fair, and again, want to walk you through what it is I expect for you to complete and to show you on Canvas where you find information, find forms, and all that stuff about the science fair. So if you've been to Canvas and you've opened up STEM biology, this is where you access pretty much anything in our class. If you haven't been able to access Canvas yet, then you need to come see me as soon as possible so I can add you to our course. But if you scroll down, there's a link to Science Fair. So if you click on that Science Fair page, everything you're going to need to know and all assignments for Science Fair are right here on this page. But before I start getting into the due dates and the forms and the assignments, I want to address the summer assignment. So at the beginning of the summer, I sent out this assignment for you all to think about, and many of you did complete, and I think that's really good. If you did not complete it, I think it's really okay, but the whole point of the project or the assignment was for you to start thinking about some of the terminology that we've used in past science classes and how that relates to science fair, and to take a look at some of the projects that are already done and that are already out there and start identifying part of the pieces. If you would like to go over any of your answers, please come see me before school. Please come see me after school. I'd love to sit and make sure that you understand what the terminology is. But either way, if you're not doing an engineering project or you're really not testing anything, then the key terms that you really have to deal with are a hypothesis, which is what your prediction of what's going to happen is. The variables, things that you're going to manipulate. So the independent variable is what you manipulate, what you change as an experimenter. And the dependent variable is what you measure. Right? How are you determining whether or not what you changed actually worked? Okay? So I just wanted you to get some thoughts down on paper as to what you did last year and how that relates to this terminology. The second page was more, here are some resources about science fair projects that have already been done. Take a look at some of those and just choose 5 of those projects and figure out the variables. Now, there's thousands of projects that you could have chosen from. So I'm not going to go over every single project, which is why if you want me to go over whether or not you are correct in identifying the variables, please come in and see me and we can sit down. And again, the whole point was to, number one, just see what's out there. Right? Here are some ideas of places to go to get some ideas for science fair, and then looking at some of these projects that have already been done, can you pick out the variables? Because I think if you can do that, then it's going to make setting up your science fair project a little easier. So I'm going to click out of this and go back to Canvas and start talking about our science fair page here. Now, before we get started, let me just preface science fair information with, you are doing sort of multiple things here throughout the course of this year. Science fair projects mean that you are designing your own experiment or you are building something based on some specifications that you set as a designer. And from that, you are writing a paper, a formal scientific paper that you will use to create a science fair board that you will then present at science fair. Now, once you have your board all set up, there's multiple things that you can do with that. You might get selected to go to the city science fair and the regional science fair, the state science fair. You may be selected to go to some other competitions throughout the course of the year at different parts of the state. And your paper as well will have the specifications to be submitted into the Virginia Junior Academy of Science Symposium, which we encourage all students to apply for, which gives you a chance to spend some time at a local university and present your projects to your peers. So it's a really multifaceted project here. You're not just designing something and then presenting it. You're coming up with a project that you will write a paper and a board that can be submitted not just to science fair, but to other competitions as well. So that's sort of the point of this project. And I want to highlight again the term, this is an independent project. You are the designer. You are the person that is going to be facilitating and doing this project. You may choose one partner if you've not chosen one already. You may work alone. It's just totally up to you what it is that you want to do. But it does need to be your work, and you need to think about how are you contributing to what's already known. We want to avoid all the projects that we already know the answers to. I don't need to figure out how much water to water my watermelon plants. I can Google that and find that out pretty quickly. I don't need to know which type of soil my broccoli is going to grow best in. I can Google that. I can probably tell you that with a simple Google search. So what we're really trying to find out is taking something that we already know and improving upon already known knowledge, or finding out new knowledge by either doing an experimental project or by designing and building something. And that's more of an engineering project. But either way, if you, again, go to our home Canvas site, which is going to take you there in a minute. My computer is thinking. Click Science Fair, and everything you need to know is on this page. So these are the important due dates. Right? The most important due date is October 27th. If you have a special project, meaning that you're working with hazardous chemicals, meaning you're working with animals, meaning that you're working with people, if you've been approved to work with people, then everything must be complete by October 27th. You have a earlier deadline than a lot of other individuals. That means you'll be completing assignments 1, 2, 3, and 4 before anybody else if you have a special project. Because if you do not have your paperwork in and your full assignment number 4 turned in and it's been approved, it means that you'll need to change your project. Okay. Other due dates, January 30th is our city science fair, which means that our mini Howard Science Fair is a week earlier, probably the 3rd week of January, realistically. We have not set that date yet, but typically it's been that 3rd week of January. So we don't have a lot of time once we get back from winter break to really work on science fair, which means that everything has to be taken care of first and second quarter up to winter break. Okay. And then if you're lucky enough to be selected to the regional science fair, then it's March 3rd and 4th. All other dates, the state science fair and these other competitions, we'll start posting those dates as we get more information about them. But if you've lost any of your forms, you can just click on Science Fair Forms, and here's all the paperwork. Here's the link. So I've asked you to complete Adult Sponsor 1. I am the adult sponsor. All I need you to do is add your name and your proposed project title. This checklist is more for me than it is for you. I just need you to fill out the top part. I also need you to fill out the checklist. Right? Again, this is more for me than it is for you. You need to complete number 1, 2, and 3, and then number 8 and 9. I do all the rest. I will fill in all the blanks, and I will make all the signatures. And then finally, this is your sort of entry form into this whole process, this approval form. You need to sign, your parents need to sign, saying that they understand and agree to the rules of the ICEF Science Fair, rules and guidelines, and will adhere to all the rules when conducting your research. So I need these forms from you today, or excuse me, by Friday. You're going to get a manila folder from your STEM Explorations teacher where you can put all of your paperwork in. And what I need you to do is to put your name on the tab on the manila folder, and then on the front, if you have a partner, I need you to put your partner's name and period number so I can combine your paperwork into one folder. It's just easier if you do that. But I need these folders back to you by Friday, the 15th. If you have any questions, please come see me. Okay? So if we go back to, I'm going to go back to my dashboard for a second so I can access. If we go back to the home page and you click on Science Fair, what you need to complete by the end of class is assignment number 1. Assignment number 1 is just your first initial topic proposal. So you all have been thinking about what you might do for this project, who you might be working with. Some of you have a better idea than others. But now is the time to actually have a proposal. And that's where we start. We start by you filling out, and you click on assignment 1, and it's going to take you to a page that looks like this, Project Design Frameworks. And this is like your first initial proposal. I need to get an idea about what you're thinking and how you're going to design your project. And we can't move forward with anything else until I look at this document and I officially approve you. So what you'll be doing today is, with you by yourself or with your partner, you're going to get together and you'll both need to fill this out. I need to have record that you've both done this. You're going to choose one of these 3 templates to fill out. Based on what you are going to accomplish with this project, really depends on which, or based on the template, will be dependent on what type of project you are planning on working on. So if you're planning on doing an experimental project, much of probably what you've done in the past, you're going to need to fill out this template. And again, the directions say complete one of these 3 templates below. If you're doing just your average old experimental project, you fill out this top part and this top part only. You do not need to fill out any other template, just this top part, number 1. Write out the problem, write out your hypothesis, what your variables are going to be. Again, change the levels, please, what your dependent variable is, and what your constants are. I need to get an idea of what it is that you are doing, and we can make improvements from there. So these are only for the people that are doing an experimental project. If you plan on doing an engineering project, and I always tell people, if you don't know what to do for science fair, build something. Look at a problem, what do we know about it already, and build something. So you'll fill out template number 2, and only template number 2. You'll leave everything else blank. So what is the problem? How is the problem currently being solved? And down here, you're going to fill out this chart. What are your goals? What criteria are you setting? Is there going to be a measurement? I don't know. You get to make that decision. What are some possible design ideas? I don't know. This is what you get to fill out. What is it that you want to accomplish? Here's an example down here. You need to come up with your certain criteria. Are you looking at are you going to have some mass guidelines or height or total cost? Is your goal to build something within $20 or $50? Maybe you have some sort of solar powered something that you can buy on Amazon for $100, but you want to design something that's a little more cost effective that you can build for $50 or $20 that maybe will even charge your phone. Well, that's your goal, is to try and put materials together within your $20 limit. I don't know, maybe it is the mass. Maybe you want to build something within a certain mass range or a certain height range. I don't know. That's what you need to decide, and you need to set as your criteria, right? You get to decide that as the designer. And what I would suggest for you engineering project is to keep it simple. Keep it simple, right? Set a criteria and try and build it. Does it meet it? Does it not meet it? Does it solve your problem? Maybe that's all you want to do in year 1. For you people that want to create apps, maybe year 1 is all about, can I create an app given my specifications? And then year 2, maybe I'll send out a survey and see does the app actually give me what I wanted, right? Is it actually useful? Getting some feedback from people that will actually use the app. So that would be year 2. Think of these projects as more of a multi-year project. All right, so that's the second template. The first template, if you're doing an experimental project, you do part 1 and that's it. But if that doesn't apply to you and you just want to build something, part 2. Part 3 is if you want to, I'm going to scroll down, part 3, if you plan to test and evaluate your prototype, for each goal you'll need to assess whether that criteria has been met. So if it, and really what you're looking at. So in an engineering project, yes, you're going to come up with a data table to see if you met criteria. But if you're going to collect data, it needs to be, that's experimental in nature. Okay? So if you're going to build a machine that's going to collect trash, then maybe you will not only build it within $50, but then you predict that your robot that will collect trash will be able to collect 20 grams of trash. And that's your hypothesis. If you're going to test and evaluate your prototype, then you'll also need to come up with a hypothesis, your variables, and all of that. So you'll be filling out the third part, right? This template, template number 3, and only template number 3. So for the rest of the class, you need to brainstorm. You need to get with your partner or sit by yourself and determine which one of these 3 templates, template 1, template 2, or template 3, you need to fill out and submit. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just the first step in deciding what it is that you want to do. And based on what you want to do, what improvements can we make to actually make this a really good project? If you have any questions while you're doing this or you want to run something by me, please come see me. But your goal for today is to fill out this document and simply hit submit. And then I will give you feedback over the weekend.